Oh, hello, friends. My name's host Eric. I'm the host talking to fence people. And you could also say I'm a man who was early to bed last night. I crashed out, I don't know, 9 something last night. And I slept really well the night before. And I found myself up here at 4 in the morning. Even though I'm clearly not fully rested yet. When I'm fully rested, I don't have this. Yeah, here. But I just took a few Adderalls, so I'm sort of waiting for the drugs to take effect, Give me a little bit of energy. I'm feeling kind of tore up, I guess. Like, but that'll change once the amphetamines kick in. I'm also gonna have to poop pretty soon. I can feel it brewing. Which is not the end of the world. Long day yesterday? Short day yesterday. I didn't get up till like 2 in the afternoon. I went to bed at like 9. I went to bed fairly late last night. Not last night, at 4. But Rachel and I are both a little bit sick, I think. We got a head cold of some kind. Maybe the vid, who knows. But yeah, we're both feeling a little bit under the weather right now. Feeling in my sinuses. Like when I go like this, I can feel this. Like pressure or something. In general, I don't feel enthusiastic as much as I used to. I don't feel as exhilarated by the world as I used to. Someone dies of COVID every 10 seconds in LA County right now. $360 an hour, 3,600 every 10 hours. 7,200. What was that like close to 9,000 deaths a day? I mean, I wonder how many people of those actually died of COVID, What a crazy week it has been for American politics. Yeah, it has. Well, I mean, the thing is, it's just like my former assistant coach. He lives in Los Angeles County, and his family does. And he wrote that Facebook post that said, "I'm shocked and horrified to announce that I just lost my father to COVID. The doctor said he had hardly any symptoms on his road to recovery, and then came the heart failure." Okay, Kunkel, your dad did not die of COVID. You did not lose your father to COVID. He had a heart attack. But he's on the COVID list. The thing is, right now, if you die while having COVID, you're on the COVID list. And COVID's incredibly contagious. So everybody gets COVID. Everybody's going to have COVID. And people will still die of things concurrently. Except now it'll be attributed to COVID. You know, it's like, how many people in the world have HPV? Okay? So when HPV was spreading wildly, if we treated HPV like we treat COVID, we would have seen millions and millions of deaths from HPV, none of which were caused by HPV. Because just because you have a disease and die doesn't mean you died from that disease. I'm not saying there aren't vascular issues with COVID. I'm not saying COVID isn't harmful or I'm not saying COVID doesn't have the potentiality to kill somebody. But I want to know how many of those COVID deaths were unimorbid, you know? Your mom died from cancer, stroke while driving. The impact technically killed her, but that would be different, you know? It's like if you have a heart attack while driving and you crash your car and the impact from a car crash kills you, it's fair to say that you died of a heart attack, right? Because possibly you were dead before you even crashed the car. Totally different than, you know, grandma's in the hospital with pneumonia and now she gets COVID and dies. Well, that's not really dying of COVID, is it? And I mean, there's a lot of evidence of mass hysteria related to COVID as well, in terms of people's experience of symptoms and stuff. There's this whole story going around that there are these long-term effects to brain function, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they've been unable to determine any legitimate cause for those long-term effects. In other words, it's not vascular issues. It's not insufficient blood getting to the brain or anything like that. They've eliminated those possibilities for these purported long-term effects. Well, I know what the long-term effects are. Mass hysteria. It's obvious. I'll tell you something else that I was stoked to read yesterday. For a long time, I've said, I can't prove it. I can't establish it. I don't have the math background to even really be making this argument. But trust me, dark matter's bullshit. And sure enough, yesterday, I always read articles on astrophysics. And sure enough, there's this group of scientists who are now going, actually, I think dark matter's all bullshit. It was great reading the article, the scientist who said, 5 years ago, I would have said, this is proved definitively, for sure, blah, 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 blah. But it looks like we might have missed something that does explain it without this ridiculous magical ether shit that we're talking about. I mean, that's the thing, Gen Xio. There are abundance of reportings on the matter. That's the most important thing to remember. The apparent abundance of data points in front of you does not represent a meaningful data field because it's defined by other people's agendas. It's like the Intelligencer article I read yesterday said, or the other day, after I explained well, I mean, I agree with you that something accounts for the missing energy mass, apparently missing energy mass. But the article I read yesterday said basically there isn't any missing. We can account for it all by this phenomenon that makes it appear like it's missing. I don't even remember what the phenomenon was, but the point is, you took care to use anecdotes in context with TI to draw that divide. I mean, I don't think you have, Gen Xiel. I don't agree with your self-assessment there. Oliver Linehan. Are you on the West Coast too? That's probably too few hours to sleep. Do you have speed? John Sims, what have you got for Gen X? Gen X is are you Gen X, John Sims? Do you feel like a sense of generational camaraderie with me or something? You know, there aren't very many of us. We're a small generation. I suddenly feel generational camaraderie with you too. We're a weird generation, you know? A small generation that was raised in a weird milieu. You know, ours was the era of latchkey kids. It's like I was extremely well loved by my parents. And they also, parents back then, they expected to not really have to take care of their kids very much. You know, we were frequently go outside and play, you know. There was very little safety obsession back when we were kids, John Sims. Okay, I'm gonna go skateboard down this hill with no helmet on. Okay, have fun. It was the era before the internet, you know. And all I know about that, in some sense, is that when I was in high school, I had no concept of how I was geographically limited. You know, like with no internet, you draw conclusions of the world based on what the world you're living in. And I grew up in a weird world because I'm an intuitive, and the community I grew up in was kind of like kind of like douchebag Orange County area, but except it's in Los Angeles County. Arcadia is kind of a rich area, and back when I was in high school, before a lot of Asians moved in, it was very frat boy, sorority girlish, and I didn't fit in at all, you know. It was like high-fiving over date rape kind of shit, you know. So I had this oppositionality towards the way the world was that was born of the fact that I was surrounded by morons. You know, when you're literally surrounded by nothing but morons, you end up kind of strange. It's like, I don't get this. Why are all these people so dumb? It's not like I thought I was smart either. I just like, I never did think I was particularly smart because I saw a lot of people do better in school than me, because I was not very reliable or responsible or something. But then I also just saw around me all the time people caring about stuff that seemed to me to be not worth caring about. It's like the other thing about Generation X. When I got out of college, like a lot of people in my generation, I emerged from college with no ambition. I just thought, well, maybe I'll get a job at Big Five or something. I remember after getting my college degree, I went and applied to a bunch of jobs that didn't require a college degree, and I didn't get any of them because I had write crazy shit on the applications and stuff. Well, my theory on this is, but you're not qualified to work at Big Five, Eric. You sound like a difficult employee. Ooh, my butt is full of poo. At your elementary school, you weren't allowed to run around at recess. You weren't allowed to leave the sheltered area when it rained. Well, Oliver Linehan, it would make sense that you would think that people around you are careless as a knower. Knowers think that people are careless. As an action deliberator type, I'm going to tend to think people are dumb because they're, what in reality I'm probably picking up on is that they're not action types. So I can say, blah, 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 and then they're not responding on point or don't have an immediate answer. Don't have an immediate answer to what I say. Sure, Gen X Eli, I would like to watch it and give you my feedback on it. I will do so after I poo. This poo has been, I almost should have gone poo before I started the live stream because I knew it was not long before I was going to start poking at my butt. Oh, it always makes me feel uncomfortable until I'm done pooing. I have a poo in me right now, Zaylin. It's making my face make this expression. I have to go poo. Intoxicative? Are you intoxicated, Shikari Bono? What are you intoxicated on? Are you intoxicated by the alluring scent of my perfume? Oh. No. Oh, I'm intoxicated by the poo within my body, Shikari Bono. It's causing me to be like slow. Now, I'll actually watch it while I'm streaming here. And so you can get my reaction and everything. Okay, I got a poo now. I haven't even pulled a single barn rip yet. That was a good poo. That was a satisfying poo. It was one big piece. It's always nice, you know. When it finally was out of my butt, I said, "Ah, that feels so much better." And I was right. I was right about that. So I'm not feeling especially enthusiastic about things right now. In general, I got to say that I used to get a lot more hyped than I seem to nowadays. You know, I remember back in my youth, the experience and feelings of. No, I haven't heard from Taylor. I don't think he's in DC. Uh, I'm not quite sure what to make of that. I used to really get pumped up about shit sometimes. Like when I was young and it'd be like a Friday or Saturday night and we're going out to party or whatever and get the tunes pumping and I just felt so alive, you know? I don't feel alive like that as much anymore. But I feel a lot more aware, a lot more wise, I guess. I was researching. No, the weed doesn't have anything to do with it. It has to do with ever more knowledge creeping in. So one of the advantages of being an ENTP perhaps is no, it's not that Winston's wrong. It's not a failure to feel affirmed or validated by YouTube. It's that I've always been subject to a sort of blind optimism that says it doesn't matter how many times I strike out because every time I go to the bat, I assume I'm going to hit a home run. It does not matter how many times I've struck out before. Why it is that I naturally am endowed with this, I do not know. But that kind of senseless optimism is an incredibly good thing to have. And it's sort of fading from me, I guess. That perhaps I'm just noticing people aren't as charming as I once hoped. It does have something to do with the fact that I'm coming to terms with the reality of being different, I guess. You know, of being non-normal. I was really quite struck the other day, Winston's mom, when you correctly NI'd my general state of being to being proud that my daughter's normal. It's like, in some sense, I really do feel like, thank God you're not an intuitive. So I did my, I don't know about you, if everybody who's here was here the other day when I mentioned it, but my dad, until a couple of days ago, was under the impression that I was a stenographer. So, which means he brought in some handwritten notes that he had, and he said, "How much do you charge for typing?" And I said, "You do know that I'm not typing, right?" No, he did not know that. He thought I was a stenographer. So, and the weird thing is, of course, talk about not putting two and two together. He knows I talk about personality types all the time, right? On the internet. He knows that I'm about personality types. When I say I'm typing people, even though I don't say I'm typing for people, I say I'm typing people, he just concluded that I was being a stenographer. So I said, "Well, don't worry, Dad. I'll make a spreadsheet of this for you." It was every supply he's purchased for my mom and at Sunrise from August through December. That's what he gave me. So it says like gloves, 2-pack, CVS, $21.17 or something, like $21.17. I had to like put that in the spreadsheet. So I did it, and of course, the nice thing about an old ESTJ like my dad is he was incredibly impressed. Like, that document to me was amazing, Eric. Yeah, that's called Google Sheets, Dad. That's not really me. I was somewhat relieved at my car diagnosis. I expected my car to cost about $3,000 to fix, because I've lost almost all compression in it. Like, usually that means you're fucked. When you lose all compression. Thing is, I am not a car guy. I don't know about cars or engines or whatever. Don't care about car guys or anything. But somehow, over the course of my life, I've come to, without trying to learn about them, understand combustion engines well enough that I can actually diagnose what's wrong with my car every time something's wrong with it. Which is weird, because that is not my kind of thing at all. But I knew immediately what was wrong with the car. It's some sort of, I figured probably a blew gasket, or one of a couple of other possible causes of a loss of compression, all of which are super expensive. And it is expensive. It's going to cost $1,500, but that's half as much as I was thinking it's going to cost. To get a Mini Cooper fixed is more expensive usually. than another kind of car. And they are. I like my Mini Cooper because it's cool. Okay, I like it. It's cool. It's a cool car. I look cool, and it's got TWFP as the license plate and everything. But driving my dad's car, while my car's in the shop, it's like, I wish I had a car like this. Frankly, it's an automatic. It's super like comfortable to drive in and stuff. Jeremiah's Crude Emporium. Okay. Okay. Well, you're second in line. I told Genexio I'd watch his video first. It's on the ISTPs. I have to get a new torch. Genexio, I don't think I can fix my torch. In that regard, my torch is a lot like your mom's face, Genexio. Feelings are hard.
Today we're going to talk about ISTP feelings. Feelings.
Caring only makes you
Weak. But why are we this way? Well,
So true.
Because of FE4th, which is aspirational, and FI8, which is devilish. We don't aspire to be empaths. We simply aspire to understand how we fit in the world and why we don't fit very well from a social standpoint.
I don't like soft ass shit.
Or rather, we unconsciously aspire to not be the asshole that everybody thinks we are. Does that mean we're heartless?
Do you think that I'm soulless and heartless?
Not remotely.
Okay, look, Gen X Ennial. I think what you're saying is you don't want to be perceived as an asshole, but it would be a lot easier if everybody didn't constantly need to be punched in the face.
Once we figure out that there's something going on with our interactions with other people, we aspire to do better.
Yeah, I hope you don't mind. I got up a little early, so I took the liberty of milking your cow for you. Yeah, it took a little while to get her warmed up. She sure is a stubborn one. That pow all at once.
Yeah, but that's a lot easier said than done.
We don't have a cow. We have a bull.
This is because the mirror function of FE is FI, and they like to fight against each other.
I'm a free human being with an independent will.
Having FI in the 8th spot means we're indifferent to how we feel about most things, as long as we know the truth. It's that little thing in your head that says, anyone who doesn't validate my well thought out idea is an idiot.
I don't like fraud. It's no secret.
This turns us cynical of other people and works against our aspirational efforts at FE. It's basically a double whammy. We don't understand how to not offend people, and when we do, we blame it on them.
It's press your luck. Big bucks, big bucks, big bucks, big bucks. No whammies. No whammies. God damn it. I don't want any whammies.
What do we do now? We could hug. You'd like that? Sorry. This means we're naturally devoid of humility, and it takes a long time to mature and come to grips with the world.
You gotta watch a lot of press my luck.
Sure, you'll have a few TI doms out there who will validate your ideas, but hunkering down into a echo chamber isn't the best way to strengthen your FE.
Beneath this mask, there is more than flesh. Beneath this mask, there is an idea.
That situation will only serve to fluff your 8-slot FI and reiterate to you that everybody outside your bubble is an idiot. Eventually, your life turns into an endless shuffle of micro competitions, and you turn that aspirational FE into an attempt to prove others wrong.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Does that sound like a good way to get respect? I'll prove to them that I'm right or I am the best, and therefore they'll have to admit it. This is what it sounds like at the
An endless series of micro competitions. I really like that sentence, that turn of phrase. An endless succession, is that what you said? I think all TI 1 and 2 are subject to that. You know, it's what I battle around here a lot. Is I don't want to play, you know, FE by way of TI. You know, like I'm gonna establish dominance by being brighter than you, Eric. Or it's like you might say, well, Eric, you do that all the time. And that's true, but I don't know, somehow it's different. I guess I'm not always looking to fight. Sometimes I am. Me owa. Me owa. Moa? Me owa. There must be something there that I'm not catching. Is it like a pun or something? Mihoa? I'm not done with Genexial's video yet. I'm learning about ISTPs. Stop interfering with my learning. God.
The bottom of the ISTP pit of despair. No humility, take no prisoners, no surrender.
And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon you.
Taking this path is how to become a recluse, an alcoholic, an adrenaline junkie, a substance abuser, etc. Because you found the end of your rope in the ever-present doubt.
Okay. Genexial, I believe that's pronounced recluse. I think you accented the wrong syllable. Is this a micro competition? No, it's not. It's not right both ways. It's not. No. It's the one I said. Which one did you say again? I forgot.
English FI is telling you to just escape this world. You will completely abandon your aspirational FE, and it will get placed with unhealthy SE because we need sensory. But how can that be avoided? Well, you have to have humility, patience, and an understanding that others' feelings matter.
Am I a machine without feelings?
Humility is important in understanding that most things in this world are subjective. You may think that you always have the one right answer, but often there's many right answers, and your 7th slot puller NE doesn't let you see them.
Talk about bunnies, because you're going for a ride.
And let's face it, you're pretty terrible at communicating abstract ideas. You're more like a VCR manual than a communicator.
Let me tell you something,
Sometimes people just want to
ISTPs.
hug.
Let me tell you something, ISTPs. Japan absolutely loves you. You are the very definition of cool in Japan. All of the elites, it's like in every Japanese animation, there's your wild ESFP, and they don't have any respect. But then there's the one that they look to who does have all the respect because they're so cool. And who is that? It's always ISTP. They don't say much of anything, but they're super smart, super effective. And everybody kind of thinks they're dicks. But as a consequence, all the girls are into them. Type please good citizen award. Good. Those are all fine ideas. The fun thing about being an EDOM in part is that regardless of what angle you're coming at things from, to engage with people, a very common way to positively engage with people is to offer them your good ideas, The thing is, in EDOM, my basic feeling is the last thing in the world that I need is more good ideas. Does that mean Japan is racist against ENFPs? I mean, I think Japan's racist against EDOMs in general. They want any in the tool function. You don't see very many EDOMs in Japanese cartoons. When you do, it's played as a deficit of sorts, like you help people with ideas all the time. Yeah. All right, let me finish this up. Sometimes people just need a hug. You mean weaklings? Yeah, weaklings need hugs, but they get kicks in the ass. Isn't that right, ISTPs?
And that's where patience comes in. I know. Hugging is hard. Listening to other people's feelings is hard. But once you're through it, they'll feel comfortable to ask you for a solution. And that's where you can shine. We are solution providers by nature. We just need to sacrifice a little bit up front to get the payoff at the end. Thanks for hanging with me this time. I'll see you on the flip side.
What a good video. It's like, that's so, yeah, Sean Ryan Barron, I think muscle memory is SI. And I always forget to mention it. I've thought about it on a couple of occasions in the past, but I always forget to point out that just as NE is married to NI, so too is SE married to SI. Which is to say, I can't ideate at all if there isn't any NI. To ideate is to seek relevance other than that which is obvious. Well, I thought the inclusion of the semen drinking part was a little gross. It made me go, oh, you did? Yeah, I'm so happy to hear that, Isaiah. That's cool. I'm glad you read it. Man of ideas, right? That would be my only critique about it. I remember finding that scene gross when I saw it in the movie theater too. That hits my SI in the wrong spot. You know, I've got a weak stomach, but that's a minor quibble. All right, Isaiah Rude. I don't think I've ever even been to your channel. I didn't even know you had a channel. It's called Jeremiah's Crude Emporium.
All right. Oh boy.
It's a 9-minute long song.
You need the second one. Yeah, because I got a little impatient. A little bit impatient.
What are you singing?
Part of what is like, been like, oh yeah, this is gonna be very hard.
This is a song, you
So-
say?
It's like,
Okay. So you give us 7 minutes of prefacing your song? Isaiah! That is indulging your extrovert intuition too much. Let me explain to you why. Because you're going to want to eventually put your songs on a playlist. And when you're listening to your playlist in the car, you're going to, every time you have talking before the song, you're going to smack yourself in the face. Trust me, I've already gone through this process. Okay? What? Okay. I want to watch your video and your song. I don't want to watch it live. I might want to make a video response to it even. Because I'm sure you do have lots of good ideas. I want to watch it, and I'm going to watch it. And I'm going to make probably make a video response to it too, you know? But I don't want to do it live. Today I'm not lashing out like mad. When do I lash out like mad? I guess I do lash out like mad sometimes, huh? Or are you saying I'm madly not lashing out? Well, the thing is, Isaiah needs to talk out those ideas. That's the other thing to that's the other thing to remember is that a fairly important part of being an ENTP in terms of how we end up playing out is that we can't keep track of our own ideas in our own head for very long. So I can't really think out something in great detail in my head without needing to put it on paper or speak it out loud. Or else I'll lose it. I just lose it. It's just gone. So the thing is, it's important for Isaiah to indulge in his channel as much as he can without constraining himself, worrying too much about audience response at first. It's like, I know from my own experience that I've gotten, well, I mean, now I live stream, so it's a different matter, but in terms of video making, at first, I needed the freedom to upload videos every time I had something I felt like saying. And I needed the freedom to blather on somewhat, and I needed the freedom to do that without being TE'd. Well, you should, yeah. What I needed to do was get a bunch of words out of me first. And there's nothing wrong with that. And so, Madman, how are you? You are not lashing out at 5 to 10 people, which you only have, lol. Oh, I have 14 at the moment. I mean, you're here. I managed to attract you to the channel. So Isaiah, my real recommendation to you is don't let the response of others shape the making you do, but don't let the response of others limit how much making you do. Lately, I've been challenging my students to visualize themselves playing hard passages in their head so as to secure their confidence in the passage. Some do this naturally, so others require significant explanation. I mean, I couldn't do that. That to me sounds impossible. Like, I can't. I mean, not a particularly banny mood, Chikari Bono. I'm sure you're one of the haters that I've banned before. Maybe you're the guy who called me and threatened me from Maryland last night. I don't know. Yeah, he really wants to hurt my feelings or something. It's pretty tough to hurt my feelings. I mean, I would just suspect Sean Ryan Barron that possibly some conscious NI would be required for good visualization, possibly. Certainly, the idea of visualizing something that has duration is weird to me. I can hear it in my head. But I can't visualize it. It doesn't seem to me, why would you visualize it anyway? It's like, it's not like anything about playing music has to do with your eyes, I can think of. I do have to look at my guitar frets sometimes to see where I'm playing. But one of the things people often come up and tell me is that I am looking like I ran away from some jungle. Bath and cut your beard and be a human. I think you mean bathe. I did bathe yesterday. Do we need to bathe more frequently than that? Like Oliver Linehan, I have very limited ability to visualize anything. I can only hold a picture for a couple of seconds at most. It's like an icon of sorts. For me, it's not even, it's like, it just shifts form immediately. The idea that somebody might be able to hold an image in their head, close their eyes, reference it, draw on paper, look at this drawing, check it against the standard in your head. Zero chance of me ever doing that. Invariably, students are ultimately able to do this for passages they know well, and hard passages are fuzzy. Oh, okay. So let me picture myself doing something, visualizing myself playing something really easy. And even then, I put my hand here, right, to make myself feel it. I can't. I mean, visualizing just seems dumb. It's like, why would I visualize it? That would just necessarily get in the way of doing anything meaningful with it. For me, I mean, I'm not saying it's not true for everybody. I'm sure there are plenty of people for whom this is hugely advantageous, but it like breaks my brain to even try it. I think it's very interesting. The different response I have to watching Jen Exel's video versus Isaiah's video. And it shows the way in which personality type is important. So I know going in, I'm going to be okay. It's just like if you're at a job, if you're talking about a job or a work thing, and you say, "Well, I'm a professional carpenter." A professional carpenter watching a car mechanic do his job, are you going to feel differently about that process of watching the car mechanic do their job than watching another carpenter doing their job, right? It's like a carpenter watching another carpenter is going to be very critical / judgmental. They have the exact same skill set and carpentry tricks that impress non-carpenters aren't going to impress other carpenters. You see what I'm saying? And then things get evaluated through a different metric. It's like, I'm not evaluating his NE from the perspective of somebody who's default, who's not an ENTP. I mean, I get the knowing it in your mind part. But it sounds to me, Sean, like you're describing how an INFJ willfully converts their native NI self into maximally SI advantageous thing in this particular context. No, it's definitely on the internal metaphysical field. The external metaphysical field is would be presenting a drawing of it to people so that they can see it. The field itself is literally, internal field is that which others cannot access. The external field is that which others can access. So since I can't look into Sean Ryan Barron's brain and see the picture that he's visualizing, he'd have to show me a picture, of like draw me a picture or something of the thing for it to be on the external metaphysical field. I think since muscle memory is something I kind of consciously get, then I wouldn't necessarily be served so well by including the visualization. Here's the other deal. Why are you a double interface rather than a double actor? Wouldn't first and eighth be more visible to observers than third and sixth? Well, from my own perspective, I understand the two interface functions better than I understand both the action functions. In fact, I feel like I understand SE probably least of all functions. Which is to say, I can never seem to catch myself SEing. I never can figure out the moment from which I go to not doing something to doing something, or what that entails. So here's the thing. For an extroverted intuitor, it is possible for us to come up with some good shit freestyling songs. And that's the most natural way for us to want to write stuff as well, because it delegates the knowledge, it puts the knowledge on autopilot and says, this is a tactical, not a strategic situation. And so knowledge function, I'm relying on you to make decisions on the fly. I'm going to turn off the deliberation function in that regard, or apply it in very limited capacity. But the thing is, one, it's important for you, Isaiah, to indulge yourself in freestyling shit as much as you can and want to, because that's how you learn to write songs ultimately. But two, it will always be the case that we can do a better job of, I guess you'd say, brute forcing our way into songwriting than, in other words, when we actually sit down and write a song, it's going to be better than, by and large, most of the time, it's going to be better than the ones we freestyle. That if we take our freestyles and then try to make them into written songs and allow ourselves to mess with them a bit and change them and turn them into something that's more of a conventional song structure and stuff, that they'll turn out better as well. How would you confirm or eliminate the possibility of SE polar in typing? I don't really have an approach to that right now. I don't really feel like I understand how to type for SE very well. I mostly look for NI instead, you know? It's like, it's a lot easier to identify the knowledge function than it is the action function for that side of the thing. I mean, I can recognize extroverted intuition, no problem. It's easy for me to tell any DOM or any tool, and it's easy for me to tell when somebody's not that. Usually. Sometimes I get a little bit too caught up in my TI. I mean, I gotta stretch NI too in my students sometimes, and it plays out very differently in debate, you know? Like in debate, I've got to tell my kid, I got to get my kid to understand, do a better job of understanding on the fly what's most relevant, relevant here. So in other words, what I'm asking my student to NI precludes me from having them visualize it ahead of time, because it's all word-based stuff. But the thing is, the reason my student is only very good for a ninth grader and not beast mode is because he's got ignoring NI that eats him up every time. And it's like, well, I mean, the perfect example is the last round last year when he was a ninth grader. He was up against a Harvard Westlake kid in the first out round. And I prepped him for a case against Harvard Westlake's AF, but Harvard Westlake outcoached me and switched it up and ran something other than an AF. What they ran instead was their neg counter plan, but they ran it as an AF. So they ran a totally non-topical case on AF. And my student, I had prepped him for their topical case. Now, he's smart enough that he recognized that they weren't running what he was prepped against. But he was also smart enough to come up with some clever ideas about how to link what I had said, what I had prepped him out for, to what they were doing now. And so he ended up splitting the difference and doing half of his new version of my idea that he was a stretch to apply to what was going on, and then half addressed what he was actually saying, which was topicality. So he was totally responsive in his shit, but he had been influenced by me and the cool new thing that I had introduced to him before the round. And as a consequence, he made it fit what was there. So it wasn't like he was just throwing, it's not like he threw something like, okay, remember, if they spill soda, use a paper towel. And instead of spilling soda, they spread dust all around. And he still tried to use a paper towel. No, he moistened the paper towel first and said, I'm going to moisten it then since it's dust, and I'm going to pick it up that way. But really, at that point, use a vacuum. And so it was the perfect storm of NI ignoring clusterfuckery, which is he had a new shiny idea. It was even more appealing because he could tweak it himself with his new original addition to it to make it work to this thing that it doesn't actually work to. And then he'll half run the actual response to what the guy's doing, which he recognizes is not topical. What types are likely to make time capsules of any sort? Pictures, videos, objects that seem random but really aren't. NITE. This is the ISTP, improvising in quick order as a strength. No, this is the ENTP. This is my ENTP kid who's ignoring NI, keeps getting him in some trouble. He's good. Like, by the end of middle school, he was a contender in every middle school tournament he was in to win it. Now as a ninth grader, like his last tournament went 2-1. I mean, it was only 3 rounds. He went 2-1. Before that, he went 3-2 in 5 rounds. So pretty good for a ninth grader because he's in open. So he's up against 11th and 12th graders. But but that's why he's not better. And his mom, his mom doesn't get it. His mom is unipolar, and she keeps, it's like she's one of those mothers who just, no matter what happens, she's like, okay, well, but Jeffrey's not as good as these people because of Just give him a little bit of time. Not everything can be fixed with some specific drill you can practice or something. Sometimes you gotta let a field lay fallow. Sometimes you gotta let shit grow instead of trying to force it all the time. Well, what sort of philosophies were you voicing regarding the ethics of spanking children? So, I was thinking to myself yesterday, a lot of times people will say that the problem with the channel that I have, the limited amount of success it has, links to poor TE. But really, it's not poor TE, it's poor NI. It's the absence of NI. In any given instance, I might have excellent TE. There's some videos that are very well-made videos. Some elements or moments when I use problem solving and efficacy very effectively. It's just that without any NI, the channel can't really sustain under TE values overall. But it's not an absence of TE. TE is required for just about everything I do. I figure out how to work this app, that app, this thing, blah, 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 blah. That's all TE, figuring out how to do all that shit. But that's not what's lacking from my channel. Well, the absence of NI is embedded inherently into the channel. This channel is not any specific thing, and it never will be. Even if I were to go for 2 months exclusively doing cognitive function videos, this channel would just still be a channel that periodically goes through a little phase where it tries to be something and then once again fails to sustain that. Exactly. So Sean Ryan Barron says, Eric, I also think that what you are doing and what you want to do with the channel, that you are doing what you want to do with the channel, and it's a niche audience. So most importantly is the first part of that. I'm doing what I want to do with the channel. And what I want to do with the channel is, it depends on the moment, right? So that's one of many possibly good suggestions that people have made before. The problem is, if you want any of those suggestions to work, you have to sustain it across time. And to sustain it across time means to not do other things. I mean, the most useful thing I could teach 30 freshmen in college would be cognitive functions, at least for the intuitives. But to the extent that the sensors genuinely learned it and understood, I could frame it in terms of try to do my best to frame it in terms of utility as well as correctness. I think that would do the most good. You're saying man a lot because you're high? So, man, have I been watching a lot of anime. And I gotta say, it's been so instructive across the board to me, watching this anime. I feel like it helps me to understand the world better and media in general a lot better. The one I'm watching now is called Twin Star Exorcist, and it's very fun and very interesting. It's about these two 14-year-olds who are destined to be the Twin Star Exorcist, a married couple that gives birth to the great savior called the Mika. So this organization of exorcists basically gets these two kids and says, okay, you're married, and here's your house that you live in together. And then, but they don't like each other yet, at all or anything. And then the various exorcists from this organization come around and like try to do things. Like this lady comes and says, it's time for training, but the training involves trying to get them to hold hands and stuff. And then the guy has this longtime friend who's a girl who likes him, who's got it just enormous boobs, right? And but the guy's oblivious that she likes him, and he likes his future wife. They both kind of actually do like each other, but they hate the fact that they're being pushed into this. And I don't know, it's a delightful romp through anime land. I really feel like I understand Japanese culture pretty well now too. Those people are crazy. So can you imagine trying to formalize all your FE with all these sans and chans and suns and kuns, and there's so much social subtext in every conversation between Japanese people. Like, there's all this kind of hierarchical conformity / dissing / appealing to that's going on as to who is whose superior. It's ridiculous. It's almost like the INFJs were in charge of deciding what needed to be formalized in order for society to go smoothly. And then some like NTJ came up with that or something. I wonder if I went to Japan, if I'd be referred to as a sama, a respected grandfather. I'm making a pot of coffee. Anybody want some? So I'm always interested in the more dramatic instances of anger and hatred directed at me, such as the guy who called from Maryland and who was probably the same person who's here this morning. Like, what in the world is he so angry about? I guess because I banned him last night. But I mean, he wasn't. He's just here to stir up shit anyway. What does he care? It's like, it seemed to me that a tendency to troll would go along with a certain amount of detachment. But obviously, that person was very, very upset last night. And you call a YouTuber, and the first thing out of your mouth is, if you don't something, I don't even know what he said. If you don't, yeah, I'm going to come to your house. Well, you allowed yourself to get a little bit too angry about something on YouTube. I mean, the thing is, too, it's not like I try to present myself as some sort of important somebody, you know. I'm not putting on airs. I'm putting on the hits. Who here enjoyed the show Putting on the Hits? Who was a big fan of Putting on the Hits? Can I see a show of hands? 5 of you. Diamond, my husband's company, ran in an affluent crowd. I have fabulous party dresses of different colors. That sounds like a sentence from Victorian era, or maybe more like 1910s era, 1920s era American literature book thing. Pre-Great Depression. Like, Zoe dear, have I shown you? I have fabulous party dresses of all different gay colors. Hebimi Tusson is the best thing to come out of Japan. I don't know what Hebimi Tusson is. I don't know what it is. In my previous life, though, I'm pretty sure I was a flapper. And I really want to do that flapper dance. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, right? When I first read that first short story, Book of the Grotesques, in Sherwood Anderson's Warrensburg, Ohio, explains an ENTP's thinking as well as anything I've ever read. That's how I understand truths, as these things that people cling to that make them into grotesques. The women showed skin. I hope it was their own skin. I hope they weren't collecting human flesh. Right? And the thing about Man of Ideas that I loved so much was the part, because this is something that I've experienced so many times in some manifestation or another. There, in the story Man of Ideas, there are these unsavory people called the Kings, and that's their family name. And the man of ideas with his FI polar has chosen to become enamored with the largely unappealing Sarah King, the daughter of this family. But the father and the brother are known as dangerous, unsavory types, and everybody's worried on behalf of this obviously oblivious and naive man of ideas. And in fact, Sarah King's brother and father go to the man of ideas room, and they're waiting for him to get back. And the other people in town are all very stressed because, okay, nobody can. This man of ideas guy, he's so oblivious. He doesn't know what kind of people these are. And the man of ideas comes back to the hotel, the inn where he's staying, and he's got in his arms a bunch of like tall grasses that he's collected. And he goes into the room where these two guys are there, and the two guys are there ready to say, you've been messing with my daughter, sister, / whatever, But before they have a chance to say anything, he says, good, you're here. I'm so glad you're here. Now look at this. Look at this. And he puts down the grasses onto the table, and he says, now just imagine something. I want you to imagine something. What would happen if we were to lose all the existing food sources that we have, all the seeds for plants, all the animals that we eat, everything that we normally eat right now? Would be lost? I'm not going to deny it. It would be a difficult occasion. Now, you know this. You're smart people. You enjoy stuff like this. I wish Sarah were here. She really loves shit like this. And all of a sudden, the two guys are like, what? Well, let me continue explaining. You see, if we were to lose all the food stuff, we still have these tall grasses, though, wouldn't we? This milkweed, this blah, blah, blah. And what we would do is we would breed these into new grains, new things that we could eat, blah, 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 blah. Isn't that remarkable? Have I told you about the river? Come on, let's go see Sarah. And before anybody else in the town is aware of what's going on, the man of ideas has trailing behind him, paying close attention to him, these two unsavory guys, to go get Sarah so they can all enjoy his fascinating observations about plant genetics. Was he really that naive and oblivious the whole time? Yes. See, there isn't anybody else in the town to ask him, how mad are you about this? So he's given up on that. It's that experience. I've had that experience so many times in my life where, Eric, these people are unsavory characters. And what happens is if you treat them like you treat everybody else, and you assume and you afford them high expectations for their interactions with you, they conform to those high expectations. And you realize they don't want to be perceived as bad people. They appreciate the fact that you're treating them as a regular human being and not coming in with preconceptions. And they try to live up to those expectations that you afford everybody, that you're going to be a decent person and enjoy what I say and treat me like a human being. Now, granted, it doesn't always work, as is seen with trolls around here, but it does work with people who are honest people, even if we have some initial conflict, as was demonstrated by my engagement with that dude the other day from Egypt. Peasant skirts. Do you guys know what well, I'm not going to keep an eye on him, but if you notice anything, let me know. And has too much free time on his hands. That's a lie. It's a straight up lie. I mean, well, why should I keep an eye on him? What am I going to do? Watch his shit? What does that mean? Yeah. He has slandered me. That's true. If he accused me of that, he definitely slandered me. Yeah, I already did. I already made a clips video on me. Here's the thing to remember. If you put a lot of energy into making a clips video about me, that means you are directing your spite and anger and hate in the appropriate medium, namely metaphysical. And certainly slander is not okay, and I will respond directly to any such claims. He's actually an ESFP, I'm pretty sure, who successfully fooled me into thinking he was an ENFJ. All he wants is attention from me. I think his goal in life is to be type policed. I mean, the thing is, as I said last night, I don't negotiate with terrorists, which is to say, I don't allow my way of being to change because somebody else wants to make me feel intimidated. So to the extent that I were to actually pay more attention to him, then I will have rewarded his bad behavior. And I'm not going to do that. To the extent that I am worried or thinking about, oh no, somebody might get me or something, then I'm allowing unacceptable vectors to influence me unacceptably. The reason I'm very difficult to intimidate is because the only way to get me is to commit a crime against me. And, in other words, there's no way to get me and maintain any moral high ground at all. Yeah. Pardon me, I'm going to jump into it. I think you were diminishing the use of any a bit. I see your point. However, it's practical because you can't apply a system without understanding the pattern. I mean, I don't know what you're referring to exactly. Are you talking about the visualization thing? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Yeah, I remember Queen's Gambit. Is that their new channel or something? To the extent that is useful, you can't have meaning without data or the reverse. I probably won't watch it if it's just a bunch of bullshit. It's just going to piss me off. I tend to avoid getting pissed off when I can. I mean, it's like there's so much that's going to naturally piss me off that I don't need to go seeking things to piss me off. I am capable of experiencing anger, what's sometimes referred to as madness incorrectly. Because, of course, that refers to insanity.
Me off, right? He accuses me of being inconsistent, and then he can't give me a single fuck.
Yeah, this guy's an idiot. I'm not going to watch that. I've watched enough of his stuff to know that he's a very emotional person, you know. He's not capable of detachment, really, from his various positions. He's called himself a assortment of different types. And, I mean, you're a knowledge guy, Sean Ryan Barron. That's why. You're a knowledge type. Knowledge types prefer to know. Well, I mean, it's conceivable that somebody could turn out to be like crazy and go on some kind of serial killer spree or something like that. But if that's what happens, that's what happens, you know. I'm not going to try to know that things are safe. I'm going to assume that as long as I have the moral high ground, I'm fine. You know, I agree with you that things have to be operationally defined. In other words, they have to have a meaningful definition in terms of some other element in the system. It's not done willy-nilly. I agree. Thanks, John Ryan Barrett. Appreciate it. What I need are a couple of ninja bodyguards. You know, that's the only way to really feel safe in this world. Get a couple of ninja bodyguards. Now I'm going to play something on the guitar. We don't want you to. Well, you know, TFB. What more can you say besides that, right? TFB. This is what I tried to visualize. It was easy. I don't even know what it looks like, really. El Nino, my ass. You call those storms. Where is the rain? Those drizzles don't count. I'd drizzle more. when I pee in the sink. And it's just the right height to catch all the undesired splatter. And when I'm done, I'll go outside and climb the ladder. I will go up there, take me a bucket and pour water inside. And I'll say, hey, Mr. Cloud, drop it from the bottom. Hey, Mr. Cloud, won't you drop it from the bottom? Hey, Mr. Cloud, drop it from the bottom on me. I did understand that, Sean, right there. I'm saying when I was trying to do the visualization, I said, okay, we'll try something easy that you know how to play well and visualize that. I had trouble visualizing that. I just thought to myself, I sort of pictured the chord C, and this F chord, and that G chord, but the duration part was difficult for me to include in a visualization. At that point, it shifts immediately to sound, you know? Like I know the sound and my fingers do the thing. My fingers do the thing is a good sentence. I like good sentences. I like good sentences a whole lot better than bad. I like to think that things will turn out well rather than being constantly sad. I like to know that all of you're gonna help me out, huh? That's a bold claim. Got some great ideas for fellas like me and you and me, huh? Oh, goodness gracious. I tell you, life's a bitch and then you die. So they say. That's what they tell me anyway. Shocking. Oh, Isaiah Rude. That's the kind of optimism you need. We need to know. We need to see. We need to pen happenings down by a means you judge a logic to life we divisively unlike, which will rarely budge. Together up the ring, get there on time. Entities into anarchic and misery, follow necessarily from their savage ways. Nothing and darts and slowly, ransacked with such petty license. We all partition the rectors and call it destruction of the whole damn world. Judy shares now her limits. Hoping Julie will too. Jerry shares for 4 minutes. He just can't share things like they do. And Judy always thought that she should have bought to when they had the chance to buy. Julie soon forgot to buy, should have not told. Though she ever called that, she'll die. People everywhere gather up, enemies outraged at how they miss a sign. How do they set their priorities? These foreign backstabbing entities win Arctic and misery, follow necessarily from their savage ways. Insulting Carson and Desiree, we're stuck in such petty larceny. We all partition our activities and call it destruction of the whole damn world. Kaboom. Kaboom indeed. Kaboom, I say. What's that you say? Kaboom. That's right, I say kaboom. All right, it's time to go hero time. I'm going hero mode here. What does that mean? It means you're in for a treat. Now, even though this plays into the hands of one Ashadeep, I nevertheless am going to play it. Why? Because it's a good song. Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. Some folk call me a rambling man, and I do a lot of thumbing and a kicking cans. If it wouldn't do me, now it's good to call me names. Cause daddy's name wasn't Willie Woodrow. I wasn't born and raised in no ghetto, just a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. I had to find me a wealthy woman in the line of work that don't take no diploma. I ain't got much to lose, but a lot to gain. Well, some might call me a good time fella, but I ain't no black and I ain't no yellow, just a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. Yeah, I don't need no handout living, I don't want any part of whatever they're giving. I'm proud and white and I got a song to sing. Well, I said a few things ain't all admitted. If you want to get ahead, you gotta hump and get it. I'm a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. I'm a small town boy and I'm around a little, and I love guitar and I like the fiddle, and that's the kind of soul that expand my flame. I'm a blue-eyed Billy kind of beard and ready. I'll have to work for somebody. I'm a white boy looking just a place to do my thing. Yeah, I don't want no handout living, don't want any part of anything they're giving, cause I'm proud and white and I got a song to sing. Well, I said a few things ain't all admitted. If you want to get ahead, you gotta hump and get it. I'm a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. The white boy looking for a place to do my thing. The thing is, the reason I love that song is for a very specific reason. I don't think there's any single song that I can play that is more natively comfortable to me for me to play than that song. You do that style well, right? It's like it's my most natural style of playing. Which I think is funny given the nature of the title of the song and everything. The challenge of the song, of course, is it's racist. It's a racist song that the whole idea of a song that is making a distinction, saying I specifically am this race, is inherently a racist song. But in this one, it has other racist undertones, like I don't want any part of that handout living, which implies, of course, that people who are not white do want that. But the thing is, that's not why I play the song. I don't play it because I'm being rebellious and insisting on my freedom of speech or something. And I don't play the song because I agree with the message of it. I play it because, for me, it's possibly the most wheelhousey cover I've ever encountered. Music came before weed. I was in the boys' choir starting at age 8. I was in the Pasadena boys' choir. I didn't start smoking weed till I was 14. 35 years later, I made my decision. Okay, I think it's okay to smoke. I've been experimenting with weed for the last 35 years, trying to make a decision as to whether I should start smoking it or not. It's required a lot of experimentation. But finally, after 35 years of smoking weed, my experimenting phase is done. And I've decided to become an official weed smoker. No longer just experimenting. One of history's longest, most thorough experiments. Analyzed on the internal metaphysical field. Visualization does not preclude metaphysicality. So images are one form of a symbol. Like, for example, in its most low-res form, it's literally intended as just an iconic symbol, such as the triangular-bodied lady on the women's bathroom sign. That triangle that's a lot of, what are those, clouds? Does that mean you're really Cloud, Rathor Vicky? Is that what you're saying? How did you get here, Karen Wellington? Well, you took the first bus you saw. And you didn't look at the front of that bus, but on the front of that bus, it said, destination, talking with famous people. So here you are. And like the bus on the movie Speed, you can't get off until we either defuse the bomb or drive around the airport a bunch. One of the two. Then you'll be allowed to get off the bus. It's going to be dangerous, though. Keanu Reeves is going to have to slide around on the ground. That's normal, though, around here. Keanu, get up off the floor. He's doing the worm again over there. Keanu Reeves. He's here at my house doing the worm. Aren't you, Keanu? He's shy. He doesn't want to say anything. Whoa! I'm Keanu. Oh, there, he said something. You must go teach. Okay. Remember, Sean Ryan Barron, every time we teach, we also learn. Remember that. Don't forget to learn. Sharon Wellington's here to learn. She's here to learn how to make beef Wellington. And naturally, I refer to her 3DR Nomad, who's a Wellington specialist. Don't I think I'm Russian? This is a shitty trip. Well, a happy howdy do to you too, Tiny Man 66. You know, being purportedly a cute girl doesn't excuse you for a bad attitude. Okay? You don't want people to think you're a sourpuss, do you? That's among the things you shouldn't be, along with tenderfoot, landlubber, sourpuss, wet blanket, pussyfooter, yes, beef Wellington is a good food. Difficult to make, apparently. Apparently among the more difficult of all foods to make. You know why? Because you have to bake meat in a bread, I think. Is that how you make it? I think so. You bake meat in a bread, inside of a bread. But I think the meat's cooked first, probably. I don't know how to do it. I just know it's supposedly very challenging. The answer probably sounded to that question is magic. With the magic of imagination, you too can be delighted constantly by the effervescence of the world. Are you on LSD, Tiny Man 66? Is that what kind of trip you're on? Or are you in the back seat of someone's car on the way up a mountain road feeling carsick? Is that what kind of trip you're on? Or are you in the middle of falling from having stumbled over a root that disrupted the flow of the sidewalk? Mind controlled, to be honest? And who's controlling your mind? I can relieve you of that, by the way, if you'd like. Here, I'll transubstantiate you this bong rip. That'll alleviate any mind control effects. It's a holy bong rip. Now it's got holy bong water in it. So here you go. Gonna relieve Tiny Man 66 of any and all, what did you call it? Mind control. May the purifying smokes untether Tiny Man 66s from those controlling vectors by the power vested in me as archpastor of God's Big Heaven Church. I hear you declare it so. You're welcome. There, I fixed it. It turned out somebody had left your mind-controlled switch to on. What size shirt am I? Eric-sized? Large, I guess? I'll sometimes go extra large if I think it's going to shrink a little bit. Is SpongeBob an ESTJ? No, I don't think he's an ESTJ. No way. I think maybe he's in some kind of SFP, possibly. ISFP, maybe? I don't know. He sure has a positive attitude, doesn't he? He's ready. He's ready for whatever, you know. He's DT whatever. I don't know about this, Patrick. Seems like a bad idea. Sounds more like Mickey Mouse than SpongeBob, Eric. It's a good point. It's a good point. What's my personality? Delightful is one of my personality traits. Exuberant is another one. Engaging. Well liked by people named Karen Wellington is another quality of my personality. It doesn't matter if they're really named Karen Wellington or not. As long as they call themselves that, they love me. I'm looking for this. See, Karen, I have a lot of people come in here purporting to be a person that I've never met before, but actually being one of the very spiteful people who likes to come around and make my life difficult. The good news for me is those spiteful people typically aren't very intelligent, and so it's pretty easy to see through them. That's good news for me, huh, Karen? Here we go. Why would anyone be spiteful towards me? I mean, Winston's mom's provided a couple of good explanations for it. I really don't know. I'm not sure what makes people that angry at me. But it is generally the case that people get angry at me. I think it typically links to perceiving me as arrogant and needing to be taken down a notch. I think that might be one element of it. I'm not entirely sure. Sammy has a story that need be told. This is a song for an open road, and such a thing must always do its job. She married up Jeb, turned 19, 4 years and 3 kids weaned. Weary now and questioning the past. Agency out, faces discretion, locking in our courses, way too young. The urgency conferred is really just oppression, making sure those underneath them always run. Doug at 20 thought bourbon fun, likewise Doug at 21, and so forth well up into middle age. But once it seemed to set him free, came his whole identity. Now Doug's about another drunken rage. Agency out, faces discretion, locking in our courses, way too young. The urgency conferred is really just oppression. Offer you incentives, but they haven't got a thing that's fun. Everybody's panicked about the kids. Lock them up with extra dexedrine. Mathematic to avoid profess or impose more unjust duress. Agency out, faces discretion, locked in our courses, way too young. Significance is really just projection, offer you incentives, but they haven't got a thing that's fun. Without consent, it's really just oppression, with parasites surviving on their wages earned by lying, while they feed their fear of dying. Yeah, let's feed upon the futures of the young. That's a good song. That was fun. I enjoyed that. Made me think of excitement and joy, which are two of my favorite emotions. What do I want to play now? I think what's terribly underappreciated is this amazing video that I uploaded yesterday called "Look at That," a zinc carbon battery. I mean, I can put this thing on loop and listen to it all day.
のりはえんおにぎりのマンガングワスミグワスミあっという間にマンガン電池あっという間にマンガン電池あれもうできちゃったそんなにどいひい作業のりはえんおにぎりのマンガングワスミグワスミあっという間にマンガン電池あっという間にマンガン電池あれもうできちゃったそんなにどいひい作業のりはえんおにぎりのマンガングワスミグワスミあっという間にマンガン電池あっという間にマンガン電池あれもうできちゃったそんなにどいひい作業のりはえんおにぎりのマンガングワスミグワスミあっという間にマンガン電池あっという間にマンガン電池あれもうできちゃったそんなにどいひい作業のりはえんおにぎりのマンガングワスミグワスミ
Guasami, guasami.
マンガン電池あっという間にマンガン電池あれ
Guasame, guasame. I don't know. I really like that. It just, I can't get over the weird awesomeness of it. I guess I'm gonna go. No, I gotta play one more song first. Yeah, that's true, Karen. You may be experiencing a certain amount of of like, what's he talking about? Well, I don't know. Suspicions are high lately for reasons not anybody's fault other than the spite monkey's fault. So sometimes that may end up playing out as being taken out on somebody else, you know. I like to play this song, so I think I will. All right, here we go. Here we go, Shmo. What's the matter with Chad? Is he terribly bad? Is he very like Dan, who's a terrible man? Is he sort of like Jill, who can't pay her bill? Or rather like Jack, too stuck on the facts? What's the matter with Sue? Will she know what to do if they bring attitude? Will she show ingenuity? She talks about you whenever we go walking. What's the matter with Bryn? Is she living in sin? She's been hanging with Jim, he's looking terribly thin. What's the deal with Frank? Stealing fish from the tank, he's colluding with you, and they're talking to Lou. What's wrong with the ladies? What's the matter with men? From the feelings of Katie to the coldness of Sven, they talk about you whenever we go walking. Paths that lead to lesser days, still at the overwatered past, and whoever's left that's still okay, just tie the sails to the mast. Are you angry at Ken or at Neville again? Don't bother with Kev, he's practically dead. Just focus on Bert, he's medium hurt. What's the wonder for Liz? Did she fail a quiz? Matter with Drew, will she know what to do if they bring attitude? Will she show ingenuity? She talks about you whenever we go walking. Paths that lead to lesser days, paths that lead to lesser days, still out the overwatered path, and whoever's left that's still okay, just tie the sails to the mast. Each of us has much and gravely sinned. Throw up the hands, stiffen the chin. Catastrophe looms heavy overhead again. Time's gone will never be again. Where's my coffee? I don't have any coffee. I haven't made myself a cup yet. Making a cup precedes having coffee. You could say having coffee supervenes upon making a cup. Hilarious. Why is that hilarious? It's not hilarious. That's right, it's not hilarious. You failed. I'm sorry. You should be. You're right. Failure, Eric. We're over there failing again. Give him a word or two. Hey, quit failing, failure, Eric, I'd say to him. I'm not sure what Nigwabutho is saying either. Is that really your name? Is your name really Nigwabutho? I mean, who would name their kid that, right? I know. Let's name our child Nigquabutho. It does not sound like a real African name, though. Real African names are like Shulaula. Something like that. Not Nigquabutho. I don't know anybody named Nigquabutho Mafu. I'm pretty sure that's not a real name. I'm not exactly tired, Octavia Silva. I'm just plain tired on TV. This is low-key character I'm giving you. You don't know me. Don't put me in a box. Don't delegitimize my ontology with your observations. God, it probably is Argentinian. Like, Kshatriya Dharma is clearly a Mexican name. Are you really? Is that really your name? And you're really from Zimbabwe? Your name's really Nigquabutho Mafu? Is that true? That's crazy. That's true. It's great. Is that a common name? I mean, like, it's like you go into a room. There's like 3 Steves, a Joe, and 4 Nigquabuthos, or what? I mean, can't you see? I mean, why wouldn't everybody agree in your family that that's too many syllables in a row? I mean, too many consonants in a row at the beginning of your name. You have 3 consonants before you have a vowel. That's too many consonants before a vowel. I'm sorry. There's no reason that you might as well be Icelandic with all those consonants. Look how many consonants. I mean, you are a Scrabble player's dream, right? If I could spell in Scrabble your first name and have it count, that would be a shit ton of points. N, Q, G, B, T, H. Those are the consonants. That's a lot of Scrabble points right there. Like, I mean, it's also the anagramming possibilities are fantastic. Let's see how many names. Like, you know my anagram name, right? My anagram name is Rice Ass Rust, which is pretty good. Pretty good. Rice Ass Rust. Okay. But I mean, the possibilities with your name are outrageous. Except for the Q. What are you gonna do with the Q? That's the problem. Or you just have to you do have a U in your name. You have a U as well. You got 2 U's. So we could make some good anagrams. I'm going to figure out what Nigquabutho Mafu's anagram name is. All right, let's see. We've got N, all the letters we have to work with. N, G, Q, A, B, U, T, H, O. It's a lot of strange letters to include in one first name. I like Butho in general. Butho is a pretty good little word in and of itself. And also Mafu. I mean, Mafu. It sounds like, we're gonna have to mix this up. We're gonna give you a better name. We're gonna make a better name for you by anagramming them. It means firstborn soldier, Mafu. Or Nigquabutho. Okay, let's see. All right, let's deal with the QU first. Quabon. I like Quabon as your first name. Quabon. What's left? It'll be your middle name. Okay. THUG. Thug. Quabon. Thug. Fuma. It's a your name anagrams in part to Quabon Thug Fuma. Quabon's a good nickname for you. What do you think? Quabon. Quabon's a good name for a character in a book or something too. Let me see what other anagrams we have. I didn't use the Q for the thug. No, there's 2 U's. Oh, did I throw an extra U in there? Oh, I did. You're right. My bad. All right, so then how about Math is the last name. Maft, hug. We'll have the hug there. Okay, so Quabon, hug, Maft. How about this? All right, so the quack, like that, like that. The quack. It sounds like I'm choking on something. Probably doesn't sound like that. That's just my random guess. So, I'm sure I'm getting it wrong. All right, too many U's. Everyone's all over me about the too many U's. Boy, you can't make any mistakes around here without getting just jumped on by everybody. Let me figure out what other Quabon Hug Math doesn't mean anything, okay? It's the name I made up. Let's figure out what else we got. Okay, this is good. This is a good name for you. Okay, so let me do this. Make this easier. This is a good name for you, actually. All right, here. Look, this is a perfect name for you. This is your perfect anagram right here. We're talking about anagrams. This is the letters of your name rearranged, okay? Butt hug funagamo. I mean, that's better than Rice Ass Rust. Rice Ass Rust is mine. See, Eric Strauss anagrams to Rice Ass Rust. But I like yours better even. Butt hug funagamo? That's fantastic. Ba quantum fog? Did you use too many what? Butt hug funagamo is if that were your name, nobody would forget your name ever. They'd be like, hey, it's Butt Hug. If you prefer, you can turn it around and be Hug Butt. Hug Butt Funagamo is a good name too. I don't know. Isn't the point of a nickname that you don't give it to yourself, though? I'm giving it to you right now, Butt Hug. You know what? I think Hug Butts. Hug Butts is a little bit nicer, maybe, than Butt Hug, but Funagamo is a good name for you, too. There's old Funagamo again. Hey, guys, want to play Battleship? God, no, Funagamo. How about Monopoly? We don't want to play a fun game, okay? Anyway. All right, on behalf of me, Rice Ash for Us, and my new friend, Butt Hug Funagamo, I bid the world adieu from Talking with Famous People, with a salute as well.